On how to render your Minecraft builds in Blender, and this is the first part of, I believe, 3 videos. I may extend that and add a couple more for a few other kinds of tutorials, but I believe it's 3 for what I know so far in the process of making these videos. And the first thing I'm going to be explaining is actually how to put your worlds into Blender. And it's going to be pretty interesting. It's pretty easy. However, before I can actually explain it, I'm going to explain how to actually get your world from the Windows 10 edition into Java edition. I'm not going to go into great detail, so don't worry, it's not going to be long. And also for Java people, I'm going to explain lightly, similarly to the Windows 10 thing, how to get it into Blender as well. So first I'm just going to explain Windows 10 real quick. So in Windows 10, basically, yeah, it's just you figure out which world you want to do, and you go into a program called MCC Toolchest PE. Link will be in the description, and you can download that program and use it and install it. I'm going to assume you know how to do that because Blender's not exactly an easy program to use, so you're going to need to know how to install things. So, I mean, yeah, you should be able to know how to do that, so I'm just going to leave that to you. So we can use this program to transfer worlds over to Java. Now to transfer a world over from Xbox, because I know a few of you are like that, I'm not going to explain Pocket Edition because, yeah, that should be obvious. But to actually get a world from Xbox, you'd actually need a realm. And then in the realm settings, there's actually, here we go back, if I look in here, you can actually see there is a download button. And that's actually really important because you can download the world. So you can upload the world from Xbox and download it onto your Windows 10. And MCC Toolchest PE, really easy. You just load it up, you open whichever file you want to go into, and tools, convert to Java, and then select your format. You can convert to 1.14, 1.12. I would recommend 1.12. And then you can upload it. Pretty easy. You also select where you're uploading it to or new world. So I would select new world, and there you go. That's pretty much it. Now for Java, basically, I'm not going to explain it too in depth because it doesn't necessarily matter as much, because if you're doing it from a server, each server has a slightly different process than another server. So for the most part, just ask someone for some help and they'll tell you how to do it. But for example, in Builder's Refuge, it's just a short command and it sends you to their website and you can download the schematic or the world. And then we're going to be opening up in Mineways. And that is the wrong Mineways. That's not healthy. Go back. Here we go. Where is it? Unless that is, yep, here it is. Mineways, and we'll be opening this up in mineways.exe. And that's just the way my computer works, that's why it has a little OK thing there. So we're going to be using this program to actually convert this into an OBJ file, which you can see that here, export for rendering, and this is going to help out quite a bit. Or you also export as a schematic or for publish to Sketchfab, and there's a lot of really cool stuff that you can use for this. But anyways, so we're going to be opening up a world. I already have the world figured out. I believe it's this one. No, it's not that one. Yeah, I'm just going to have to find a world. Here it is, MYS. That's the world I have selected. And now if you have a schematic instead, for example, and you want to use a schematic, you just have to go to your schematic folder and double click on that. So for example, if I went into, Minecraft, and then I went to, well, MC Edit. Where's MC Edit file? Here it is. If I go into my MC Edit files, I can select one of these as well and actually open this up and use this as a file as well, but obviously I'm not going to do that since it's not really needed. But yeah, as you saw, it was loading up. I'm not going to actually load it up because I have no idea what the world is, so I don't want to accidentally load in a world I'm not supposed to show people or something like that. So let me actually open up the world that I want to open up. Here we are, MYS, open up that, select level data, and there we go. Here is our world we're going to be using. Which you may recognize this from my previous video. I'm going to be using this as the example. And it's actually relatively easy, though it does take a little bit of time to scroll over because it does have to load in the blocks. But either way, I'm not going to be loading in the entire thing. I'm just going to be selecting the general area about here and then expanding it. I think this is a pretty decent area, though I'm probably going to shrink this down a little bit, trying to save space on the build because you don't want to have too much, because if there's too much information it's going to take longer to render. So trying to keep it smaller is a good idea, but it also depends on your computer, and my computer would be fine loading all this in. It's just I would recommend for most people to do smaller renders unless they have a pretty decent computer. I have a decent computer, not a great one, so most of you will be perfectly fine. Now, I forgot to actually mention how to select it. You use the right click to select your region. So that's how you select your region. You use right click and you move around using left click. Sorry for not explaining that sooner. This is like my third time making this video. Keep forgetting to mention certain things. And that's how you can select your area. Now, one thing that's important is actually have a little bit of grass showing, because you don't want the grass to be purple. You want it to be green. So increase the size to about 4 so that it's above the grass, and that will make sure that you don't select anything that you don't want, because you don't want grass off of your build, because you might accidentally render that in. So you want to make sure that you have everything that you want in and everything you don't want, not in. There we go. Go to the top left hand corner, go to File, then go Export for rendering, and then we're going to be selecting where we want this saved. And I don't believe I'm actually going to be using this, but whatever, I'm just going to select, yeah, there we go, MYS small 2 or 3, I guess. And this gives us some settings. Most of the settings are actually pretty well pointless. I generally don't use any of these settings except for maybe split by block type. I've never actually used that, or export of individual blocks. So it really depends. I think maybe splitting by block type would be pretty useful. I mean, I've never actually used it. Export individual blocks. Yeah, that's going to increase the file size by way too much. But splitting by block type is probably a good idea. Let's see what this does real quick. Since I've hardly ever used this, but that's fine. But this right here is material per block, which is good. Split block type. Split by block type should basically separate each block type so that you can select each one, which in my opinion is actually really useful. Nothing else in here I've ever used, because it's just, there's nothing really in here that's actually very useful, except for maybe changing the size of the block, 'cause this is 1,000 millimeters high for each block, so maybe 100 millimeters high in order to make sure it's not too overly big, because I mean 256 meters or whatever, yeah, it's just going to get a bit extreme. Let's export that, and that's how you export it, and I'll be showing you how to actually import it into Blender real quick. Even though I'm pretty sure I'm going to be showing you that in the next video as well. It's just to show you how to import it, because I'm a nice person. You're welcome. And I also want to double check to make sure that that button did what I wanted it to, because there was an update and I don't know how to do everything since the update. I didn't even know how to do it in the first, do a lot of stuff since the, previously before the update, but with the update it made it a little bit more confusing. And let's actually see. Make sure that that does what it used to do. And that's 114 megabytes. My previous one was 108. Apparently, this one's slightly bigger. Now, Blender is a pretty difficult program to use, and many of you will definitely not get through this video at all. But for those of you who actually want to learn, this should be really good, and it should explain everything that you need to know. Then I should have plenty of links in every video to show you how to do stuff, and some YouTube channels that you can check out to learn, and just there should be a lot of really good information in these videos and in the description, so you can check out the other ones. Nope, apparently split by block type does not do what it used to do. That's really nice. So we definitely just figured that out. Previously in the other version of Blender and the other version of the other thing, I don't know if it's Blender or if it's the version of Mindways I'm using, but previously you could select things by material. So you could select that particular block or that particular block and move them around separately. For some reason, it's not really giving me that option currently, and I'll see if I can fix that, and if I can, I'll definitely make a video on that subject, but currently it does not seem like there's a whole lot of options for me because it's not exactly working very well. But yeah. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and ignore the little button clicking I just did there. I was just testing something out. Anyways, great, wonderful day, and God bless, and hope you enjoy the tutorials because this should be very helpful, and hope you have good luck with some rendering of your own.